Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. We have an update from the front. Thank God. Why? Because finally the Russians updated their site, and I don't want to use only the Ukrainian side or side of the story. I don't want to be lied only by one side. I want us to be lied by both sides. That's why I'm waiting for the Sputnik. I don't want to use another one because Sputnik is very clear. I like the way they lie to us, the same as Ukrinform from the Ukrainian side. So let's get going. I don't like only one side. I like both. Diversity, inclusion, equity. Let's be equitable. All right. Ukrinform. This is today the 24th of July 2023. And finally these guys did their job. Updated their little thing here. So let's see. 23 combat engagements take place on front. So as you know, the Ukrainians are going to give us a summary of the... Oh, this guy looks kind of old and puffy. Not to say fat, but hey, poor guy. 23 military clashes. They start with a general summary, and then they start talking about what's going on the front in the north, and then in the northeast, east, southeast, and south. And then they end up with another little short summary. The relevant statement was made by General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. So, 23 military clashes have occurred between Ukraine's defense forces and Russian invaders over the past day. In Melitopol and Berdyansk directions, Ukrainian forces continue their offensive and are gaining foothold within the recaptured frontiers, attacking the detected enemy target with artillery and conducting counter-battery measures. And let's see where Melitopol and Berdyansk are, the direction. The direction is right here. Melitopol is right here and Berdyansk is right here. So this is where the major, or at least the attempt, the offensive, the Ukrainian offensive, and they say they advance towards these two. So this is where they want to cut them off. We knew all about it, even we knew from here, so many thousands of miles away, that they will try to cut the Russians off here. Therefore, they can encircle these guys here and probably go to get Sevastopol and Crimean Peninsula by destroying this bridge. And the Russians will be, supposedly this would be liberated. The problem is, they don't want to be liberated. What are they going to do with the people who don't want to be liberated? They call it liberation, but I don't think so. Anyway. In the past 24 hours, Ukraine's Air Force has launched 8 strikes on Russian personnel, ammunition and military equipment clusters, and 4 strikes on enemy surface-to-air missile systems. Ukrainian missiles and artillery units hit 4 enemy command posts, 3 air defense missile systems, 9 artillery systems in firing position, and 4 electronic warfare systems. No civilians. Excellent, excellent, excellent. When we go to these guys here, which are the Russians, you see all this blue stuff? These are, according to the Russians, Ukrainians shelling villages in Russia. And guess what they're going to hit? Let's pick one here. Belgorod governor said that Ukrainian forces fired 6 artillery shells at the village. There were no casualties. Let's pick this one, okay? Alright, said that Ukrainian forces shelled the settlement. There were no casualties. The shelling damaged a power supply line, leaving the settlement without electricity. So, the Russians say, no, you actually bombard only or shell only the civilians, but we, the Russians, just the military. And the same thing these guys say here, just so you know. The Ukrainian military also shot down 3 Shahed 136 loitering munitions. Meanwhile, Russian troops launched 1 missile and 58 airstrikes and opened fire with multiple launch rocket systems MLRS 26 times. Following Russian terrorist attacks, casualties among civilians. Now what happened here? The threat of Russian missiles and airstrikes is persisting all over Ukraine. Now they start with Volyn and Police, they start in the north and then go, as I said. Now they didn't mention here the attack, the Russian attack with 15 drones on right here. It's a Danube River, a Ukrainian port that helped grain deliveries. Right here, Reni. This was attacked overnight by 15 Russian drones, and there were 6 Romanian ships over there waiting like weasels to get loaded. And when these guys attacked, they advanced towards the Romanian territory. Not retreated, they advanced like Churchill ordered in Dunkirk, his armies advanced to the coast, while they were kicked in the butt by the evil Nazis. Okay, so let's go back to the Ukrainians here. In Volyn and Polisia directions, the operational situations remained rather unchanged. No enemy offensive groupings were detected. In Sivyersky and Slobozansky directions, Russian troops are maintaining military presence. The enemy launched airstrikes near the Kharkiv regions, and they give 2 settlements. No, Kharkiv. Where is Kharkiv? Ram pam pam. Right here. This is Kharkov by the Russians, Kharkiv by the Ukrainians. Remember, this is all shelling by the Ukrainians, according to the Russians. This is, we see the black snuff, the black AKs. Right here, these are the face-to-face, the armies supposedly meet, groups and troops. Now where you see the yellow, this is supposedly, according to the Russians, Ukrainian drones destroyed. So now the Ukrainians are talking about this area right here. So let's see what else they say. In the Kupiansk direction, Russians launched airstrikes near the Kharkiv regions, Terny, Vilshana, and Kisliva, as well as artillery and mortar strikes on Kharkiv's regional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 settlements. And here, over 15 settlements were affected by Russian mortar and artillery strikes in the Chernihiv, Sumy, and Kharkiv. So according to the Ukrainians, the Russians also shelled these things here, these oblasts. Chernigov by the Russian, Chernihiv, Sumy, and Kharkiv, but the Russians did not report anything here. So let's see what the Russians are saying here at Kupiansk. Right, Kupiansk is right here. Let's see here. Ram pam pam. Units of the Zapad Bela group hammered Ukrainian troops and military equipment using air and artillery strikes. Next one. The same thing. The same thing, the same thing, the same thing. Let's see what happened here. 3 drones downed, 3 Ukrainian drones downed by the Russians in the Kupiansk area. Then 2 Ukrainian drones down and 4. Oh my God, so that's a lot of them. So this, and let's see what the Russians did here. Russian forces destroyed an ammunition depot of Ukraine's 103rd Territorial Defense Brigade. Remember, Kupiansk, Lyman, Bakhmut, Avdiivka, Marinka, all these fronts, supposedly the Russians' offensive line right here. This right here is the Ukrainian offensive line, and supposedly here in Kherson area. This is Zaporizhzhia Oblast. Let's go into the Ukrainian update. In the Lyman direction, that's south of Kupiansk. I showed you Lyman, and I will show it again. It is right here, Lyman. Right here is Lyman. Kupiansk, where I was before, is right here. Kupiansk, Lyman, then it's going to Bakhmut, Avdiivka, Marinka. Let's go. It's only rock and roll. In the Lyman direction, Russian troops launched airstrikes near the Luhansk regions and Donetsk regions, Lyman and Spirnya and other settlements here. Russian artillery strikes affected the Luhansk regions, 2 settlements, and the Donetsk region, another 4. In the Bakhmut direction, south, let's see what the Russians say here in the Lyman area. The Yug battle group successfully repelled all attacks by Ukrainian troops using air and artillery strikes. The Center battle group, during the course of operations, successfully repelled all attacks by Ukrainian troops using aviation, heavy flamethrower systems, and artillery strikes. And here, let's see what they blew up here. Russian forces thwarted the activity of a Ukrainian sabotage and reconnaissance group. Units of Center battle group hammered Ukrainian troops and military equipment. And here, the same thing. And these drones, let's see how many drones here. 5 drones, oh my. And then 4 drones, a lot of them. And this is right here, 4. I've never seen so many drones shot down by the Russians. I've seen 1 or maximum 2, but 5, net. So let's see what's going on in Artemovsk, which is Bakhmut. We're going to go to the Ukrainian update. So this is Artemovsk, Bakhmut, and let's go to the Ukraine and see what they lie. Because everybody lies, but anyway. In the Bakhmut direction, Ukrainian defenders successfully repelled Russian attacks to the northwest of the Donetsk region, Tralala, to the south of Ivaniske, and to the west of Klishchivka. The enemy launched airstrikes on the Donetsk regions, Dilivka and Predchechnya, I'm guessing. Over 10 settlements were affected by Russian artillery strikes. Let's see what the Russians are saying. Ram pam pam. The Yug battle group successfully repelled all attacks by Ukrainian troops using air and artillery strikes. So basically nothing. And here, Russian forces struck Ukrainian troops. The same thing here. The same thing here. The same thing here. And here, Russian forces struck the communication center of Ukraine's 24th Mechanized Brigade. And here, the Ukrainians bombarded settlements. So fired 5 152mm shells. And here, 29 152mm and 152 and 152mm shells at the city. So we're going to go now to Avdiivka, which is in bad shape right here. And then we're going to go to Marinka, which is right here, south. Let's go to the Ukrainians. In the Avdiivka direction, under extensive artillery fire and airstrikes, Ukrainian warriors successfully repelled Russian attacks near the Donetsk region's Over 10 settlements were affected by Russian artillery strikes. The enemy launched airstrikes near the Donetsk region, Avdiivka and Nevelske. Let's see what the Russians are saying. Avdiivka. Russian forces destroyed an ammunition depot of Ukraine 110th Mechanized Brigade, and right here the Ukrainians shelled these settlements. We're going to go to Marinka, which is nothing, only this, which is Ukrainian forces fired 3 155mm shells at the settlements. Boo! Alright, then let's go here and see what these guys are saying. In the Marinka direction, Ukrainian forces continue holding back Russians' onslaught near Marinka and Krasnohorivka. Over 10 settlements were affected by Russian shelling. This is like crickets, nothing happened. Let's see what drone was destroyed here. 3 Ukrainian drones. Oh my, these guys amped. Now we're going to go here to Vuhledar, we're going to go to Shakhtarsk, and we're going to go to Zaporizhzhia Oblast. Let's see what the Ukrainians report. In the Shakhtarsk direction, Russian troops conducted unsuccessful offensive actions near the Donetsk region's Rivnopil. Over 10 settlements were affected by Russian artillery. And we go to Zaporizhzhia and Kherson. They lumped them together. This is where the big Ukrainian counteroffensive supposedly is focused. So this is Zaporizhzhia Oblast right here, and this is Kherson. So this is a front that we're talking about. And then this is Crimean Peninsula. Okay, give it to me. Russian occupiers are focusing efforts to prevent Ukrainian forces from advancing. Over 30 settlements were affected by Russian artillery strikes. The enemy launched airstrikes near the Zaporizhzhia's regions Mala Tokmachka, Orikhiv, and Lebkove. Alright, in the temporary occupied areas, Russian invaders continue looting, and using civilians' health infrastructure for military purposes. Okay, so now they tell us here how bad they are. We skip that one because we already know, right? And let's see what the Russians are saying. Let's see, drones. Shot down 3 Ukrainian drones, and here, Russian forces destroyed an ammunition depot of Ukraine 128th Mountain Assault Brigade. Russian forces struck Ukrainian troops using air and artillery strikes. Russian air defenses shot down 3 Ukrainian drones again. Russian forces struck Ukrainian troops using air and artillery strikes. They also hit a command post of Ukraine's 65th Mechanized Brigade. Russian forces thwarted the activity of a Ukrainian sabotage and reconnaissance group. And here, Russian forces struck Ukrainian troops using air and artillery strikes. They also hit a fuel depot for military equipment belonging to Ukraine's 33rd Mechanized Brigade. So this is what the Russians say. The other guys are not saying much. We're moving to Kherson. Moving to Kherson, this blue stuff is Ukrainians shelling, according to Russians, Russian settlements, not military personnel. Obviously, drones downed. Ukrainian forces shelled the city's civilian infrastructure using cannon artillery. Russian air defenses shot down 2 Ukrainian drones. Here is 2 Ukrainian drones again. Let's see what the Russians say. They destroyed probably all military equipment and command posts and ammunition depots, let's say. Units of the Dnipro battle group destroyed an AZP-57 anti-aircraft gun with ammunition. 4 Ukrainian soldiers were killed and another 2 were wounded. Next. Russian forces destroyed the Ukrainian ammunition depot. What did I tell you? Units of the Dnipro battle group thwarted an attempted landing by Ukrainian sabotage and reconnaissance group. Units of the Dnipro battle group destroyed 2 120mm mortar crews with ammunition. 8 Ukrainian soldiers were killed and other 2 were wounded. And this, all right, here, I think that's the one. Yep, the same thing, mortar crew and ammunition, soldiers and wounded and all that. So this is it, my friends. This is an update. My mouth hurts. But anyway, I don't want to keep you here 3 hours, because if I take it slowly, there's going to be like 25 minutes. That's why I have to... So here is, my friends. Now you have it from a both perspective, a macro update on the front. Nothing major, nothing major. Even though if you don't remember, I will mention it again here. I made a video on this one. Antony Blinken, that weasel Secretary of State of the United States of America, an average guy. I think he's a big weasel, but average in other departments. He said that Ukraine liberated almost 50% of the occupied territories. None of these 2 guys here, Sputnik or Ukrinform, said such a thing. But hey, he knows best. These guys are just delusional. But here you have it. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.